Hi there, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this KOIN Conversation. I'm evening news anchor here at KOIN 6, Elizabeth Din. And joining me right now, you can see right here with me is Jessica Elkin, the Executive Director of James Beard Public Market. Jessica, thanks so much for making yourself available to do this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Well, let's start with what the James Beard Public Market is for those who are learning about this for the first time, or maybe have heard about it and don't really know what it's about.
Yeah, so the James Beard Public Market is a long-awaited vision for Oregon, bringing a public market back to the central city in more than a century. We are a public market city, and a lot of people may not know that. We actually had a public market before Pike Street Market in Seattle was built. And to bring that back in this time when we need community revitalization, we need to invest in small businesses, and opening up a 7-day-week market highlighting our growers, our farmers, our ranchers, our fishers within this space will really help be a catalyst for downtown Portland and highlight all of Oregon's bounty.
This is an effort that's been years in the making, but it seems like this past year has gained a lot of momentum. As you talk a little bit more about those efforts, I want to go through some of these renderings that you sent over. If I can get that to play. Technical difficulties, everybody. But yeah, you sent over some really great images about what we can expect. And I think that's what's really cool is how we're hoping. Well, I'm not able to get this to play, so forgive me. We'll keep going about this, but these renderings are really cool. And as you describe that, I'll see if I can figure out how to play this for everyone who's watching right now. But the renderings give us that great vision. I personally love renderings of so many projects, and this one's cool because we hear the comparison, like you mentioned, like Pike Place Market in Seattle. We'd like to rival that and talk about that, how these renderings and what we kind of see for the future is closer to a possibility now.
Yeah, wonderful. So we are going to be on the corner of Southwest 6th and Alder Street. We are connecting two historic buildings, the Selling Building, which is on 6th and Alder, and then the building that we purchased in January of this year, which was the historic Ungar Building. That building is roughly 25,000 square feet, connecting both ground floors of the Selling Building and what we're calling the Market Building will give us a 38,000 square foot public market in the heart of downtown Portland. The proximity to Pioneer Square could not be better. We're actually putting Portland's kitchen next to Portland's living room.
Love it.
And creating, hopefully, what will be a culinary district, a place for food innovation, and a place to showcase all of Oregon's bounty under one roof.
And I think if you can look at that screen next to you, you see me playing it out now. So these are the most recent renderings from BCV Architecture and Interiors. Can you talk about how a lot of input was provided for this from the James Beard Public Market, and I would imagine with this firm on what you guys want? Even for a rendering, you guys have this vision. A lot of voices are involved in this.
That is correct. So we announced our site on October 28th of 2004. So it hasn't even been a year since we shared with the community. Not only was a James Beard Public Market coming to Portland, but we had identified the site, which has always been the biggest barrier with this project. So we quickly engaged BCV architects from San Francisco. They have a lot of really prolific projects throughout the country, including the Ferry Building in San Francisco.
I was going to ask that because that's so funny. If anyone who's been there before, I guess we should describe that for people, but that's so funny that you said that because I didn't even know. I went there maybe a couple years ago was my most recent time. But if anyone who hasn't been there before, it's on the water, but also it's this big space. So there's the outdoor and indoor. And indoor, it's kind of like what you described, or like Pike Place Market. There's lots of vendors from like fresh fruit and seafood and foods to coffee shops to
really great cheese vendors.
Exactly.
There's really great coffee vendors. There's Hog Island oysters.
Yes.
The Slanted Door was there. And they have an incredible farmers market. And if you go early enough, you often see some of the top chefs of San Francisco shopping there, which is always fun to have those celebrity chef sightings. For us, this project's very similar. We're taking a space and we're restoring it for the community. And that's truly what a public market is oftentimes these spaces like the Ferry Building or the Reading Terminal in Philadelphia, these are reimagined spaces. And that has always been the dream, is how can we take something and turn it into a public market, but being able to find the real estate was always the real challenge. And BCB has helped us really dream of what's possible, being able to bring their experience in transforming spaces into public markets, creating entrepreneurial opportunities, small business. Our public market will have roughly 40 small businesses within the market selling thousands of Oregon products.
I want to show how we're going to play some farmers market video, but of course, this is the one at PSU on Saturdays. It's open year round except for one weekend when it's not. Arguably the best known and largest farmers market, but we have so many here in Portland and just the whole region too. Can you talk about how this isn't going to compete against this kind of thing, our farmers markets, but more so be an addition to these kinds of events that we have?
Yeah, I absolutely love our farmers markets. I think our PSU farmers market is one of the best, if not the best in the country. And our goal is to be an additive to that. The farmers market at PSU is open on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Our public market, which is indoors, will be open 7 days a week. We hope that we can be a part of a continuum of opportunities for farmers and growers and small businesses and work together to really help create more access to fresh food, create more access to small business opportunity, and for those vendors in the farmers market that are ready to launch into something that's maybe a little more permanent 7 days a week, creating that pipeline. And there's many models around the United States and the world of how farmers markets and public markets are working together. And we believe that this is an example of where all boats rise, and we're really looking forward to continuing to be an additive in the food ecosystem we have here in Portland and the state.
Yeah, and talking about that a little bit more, and as right now we're looking at video from the big event, I believe this was the ribbon cutting, if I'm correct,
Yes.
along with some video of the space as it's in progress. What's also representative of this is, like we talk about the farmers market, while it may take place in Portland, for example, if we go to PSU, it represents much of the state. And looking at you guys' website, you guys talk about that. We have so many counties throughout this whole great state of Oregon. And so this is another way to showcase all that the state has to offer. Even though Portland gets a lot of attention, it is the largest by population. The whole state has so much to offer in terms of agriculture, food and drink, makers, growers.
Absolutely. I mean, we see this as the front door to Oregon's bounty. I'm a proud Oregonian. I grew up in rural Marion County, and I grew up surrounded by these incredible farmers, berry farmers. It was such a part of our day-to-day life. In bringing those that rural-urban connection is a big part of the James Beard Public Market Project. And what we're seeing with this project is the excitement, not just in Portland, but throughout the state, how this place can be a center for civic pride. It can be a place for education for kids. It can be a place where people from the state see and learn about this incredible agricultural bounty. We have over 200 unique products in the state of Oregon. That makes us so unique around the world. And how do we highlight that in one place? That's what the public market will do.
Okay, so I want to show some demolition video that you guys sent over as well to show the work in progress. It's taken a lot of funding. Talk about your goal, how close you are to getting there, and how much help you've received in what forms.
Great. So as I mentioned, we announced that we had found a site, secured a site on October 28th of 2024, and quickly moved in to the fundraising to purchase the building that you're looking at right now. That is the market building. It has a basement, ground floor, second floor, and a rooftop that will be used for dining as well as event space. We purchased that building in January for $3.1 million and quickly moved into working with the public sector. To date, we've raised $22.1 million and have around $6 million left to raise in order to complete the construction and tenant improvements. So we're 74% of goal and are just incredibly grateful for the public and private partnership that's coming together to make this project a reality.
If you had to guess, well, and I don't, it's not a guess because you're very involved, but why now? Why has it been working now? This has been in the talks, like I said, we were talking earlier before we started this. It's been in a vision for a long time, but this is the most momentum. Do you think it's the timing? Do you think it's the leaders? It's the efforts behind the scenes with the people that you work with? I mean, what are all the reasons you think it seems to be going at such a fast pace right now?
That's a really great question, Elizabeth, and I think about this often. I really do believe it's the right timing. You know, we are taking what was a Rite Aid and a Payless, and post-pandemic, those organizations or those businesses no longer existed in those spaces. So the timing of being able to imagine what we could do in these wonderful historic buildings, prime real estate in downtown Portland, partnerships. We have an incredible partnership with the Schlesinger family who owns the Selling building, and being able to acquire real estate, being able to buy the building at 622 Southwest Alder is a game changer. We're not talking about building a new structure. And historically, the James Beard Public Market organization was looking at new what it would it look like to do like a new build. The Morrison Street Bridge project was, one of those examples. But I think being able to reimagine what we could do with these two properties was really critical to the momentum we have. And I think being really clear on our ambitious and urgent timeline. I think the value proposition with this project, our price tag is around $25 million, and we have clear timelines around that. And I think people, both in the public and private sector, really appreciate the transparency around what we're doing. They've heard of this project. Some people haven't heard of this project, but we know right now there is an urgency to revitalizing our downtown, and we believe that this project can be that catalytic project. And we have incredible reference points from around the country and the world of how public markets change neighborhoods and cities.
Yeah, we're so hopeful for those who know all about downtown Portland, especially. So not just Portland, not just the state, but downtown Portland itself. This is part of many efforts fighting to get the city back to what a lot of people knew, but also in some ways creating a new Portland that we haven't seen before. I think that's part of it too, because there's that argument you don't want to be too nostalgic because certain things that existed 5, 10, 15 years ago may not exist again. So this, I think, in some ways is creating new vision, new things that we haven't seen before as well. As we're recording this, but the Oregonian had this article and we were chatting beforehand. There is the 50 Best Awards that happened just in Las Vegas very recently. Chef Gregory Gourdet of KOIN, James Beard Award winner. He's a top chef judge. He's quite well known on the national level. And I know that you're not, directly involved in that, but you know a little bit about that. Let's talk about how that's an effort that the Oregonian was writing about. I believe it's Travel Oregon is working to secure that kind of a big food awards venue and show to come to Portland. What are your thoughts on how that kind of impact would help, just like the James Beard Public Market?
Yeah, I mean, we are a culinary capital of the world. We know that. We know that what we make here, what we grow here is so unique across the world. We see these headlines constantly, like best cheese, best wine region, best olive oil. I mean, all of these things are very much a part of our narrative, but I think it's how do we take that narrative outside our state and start amplifying that. And I applaud Travel Oregon for their efforts. They have made a significant donation to the James Beard Public Market Project because these things are all very much connected. Having a public market come back to the city, being able to draw tourism and excitement and investment in the city around culinary is huge. And the 50 Best is a great example of an awards event that if we were able to draw something similar to that or draw that, it could have significant impact on our state. And we know what Oregon has to offer, but for many people, Oregon is still the best kept secret. And when a lot of people travel here and a lot of people visit our different food regions and different spaces, they just leave just amazed by what we do here. I mean, everything from truffles to Dungeness crab, there are so many food stories within that. And I am really excited about this kind of multi-tiered strategy right now. It's not just a public market. There's so many other things. We have an incredible food innovation center that Oregon State University runs. We have a lot of
In the Pearl
innovation.
District, it's not in Corvallis. Yeah.
Exactly. There are so many things, and there are so many restaurants. We're always watching the list. Paper Bridge was just,
In
given.
Central East Side, just a little bit north of KOIN.
Exactly. It's one of my favorite restaurants.
Same, one of my favorites. So yeah, people ask what's the recommendation. You and I can both agree on that one.
Oh,
Is one of
yeah.
the ones that's no longer a hidden gem.
No longer a hidden gem. So I think this is all very exciting, and we know that this is a big part of our economy. We know that economic development is needed, and public markets, bringing in award events, all of this is connected to helping our economy, helping small businesses, and helping our makers and our farmers and our ranchers. I mean, it is such an important part of our state, and how do we tell that story at that national, international level? And Travel Portland's doing a great job.
Yeah, I mean, the fight to maintain that side of the reputation of the city. It's no secret that Portland's been in the news for other reasons that shine a negative light, some would say. Many would say that what's going on may shine a different light. But then you talk about things like this, like our food scene, our agriculture, our makers, our growers. And that's something that obviously the James Beard Public Market wants to shine a light on. Also, the pride I get in the name. James Beard was an Oregonian, a Portlander. And even though the James Beard Foundation, which is separate, which is behind the awards, there is this big nod to having that pride in James Beard himself.
Yes. James Beard would not be James Beard without Oregon. And that's clear in his writings. It is clear in how he talks about growing up here, the influence the community had on his life, the influence that his mother had, who was the chef in their family, who was part of historic Old Town Chinatown community. James Beard often said his favorite thing to eat was Chinese food with Oregon seasonal ingredients. And so James Beard was absolutely influenced by Oregon, was absolutely influenced by the people of this place and everything we do. And he was influenced by the public markets that were around when he grew up, the Yamhill Market, in shopping with his mother. And those stories are very rich, and I think it's bringing forward that civic pride. We are the home of James Beard, and we're also the home of, as you mentioned, of Gregory Gourdet and Kathy Wims and Vitaly Paley and all of these incredible chefs that have touched our community and have really created this culinary legacy that continues today, and newer restaurants like the Paper Bridge, and how that influences even, the farmers market vendors, and how it will influence the future vendors of the James Beard Public Market.
Yeah, it is fun to see when you and I both talk to up-and-coming restaurateurs or chefs or creators, somebody who has a new product. The story that I often hear, and I'm sure you do too, is they chose Portland, or they chose to start to develop their product here in Portland because of, one, if it's the Innovation Center with Sarah Masoni, or for other reasons, they have access to a lot of local ingredients or people who can connect them to that. But it's also this community embraces, oh, I've never had that kind of food before. I don't know what that is, but I'll try it, right? I feel like I hear that a lot, and I'm sure you do too. And that's why innovation in the food and drink world, in the hospitality industry, innovation is really appreciated and welcomed here in Portland.
Absolutely. I mean, think of all of the different brands that we have exported, Salt and Straw, Jacobson Salt. There are so many nongs. I mean, there's so many products that people identify with Portland. Of course, donuts are a huge part of that. Our wine industry, our beer industry, our distilling industry, our cheese, all of this is just like such a part of our identity here. And when I think of what the market does, one of the things we will do is the democratization of food. So we think of like the Oregon truffle. Truffles are usually this really, kind kind of seen as a luxury type product, but we have so many of them, and through the market, children and visitors to the market will be able to try the Oregon truffle and different recipes and be able to learn about the truffle and see this as something that is uniquely Oregon, and how are we able to offer that to a wider socioeconomic demographic, rather than this idea of you can only get truffles, at an expensive restaurant.
Right.
So I think there's a part of the market which is about that democratization of food. What does a really great strawberry taste like? What does a really fantastic tomato? What should it be? How do you pick one of those out and be able to offer it at a price point in a public market setting that a larger group of people can buy? That's really one of the goals.
Well, looking forward to it. All of that sounds wonderful. Like you said, the accessibility and making sure that everyone can have a taste of this, that it's not just exclusive. I think in years past, many people felt that that's what it was. So the vision is incredible. You guys are a lot closer to that. Congratulations on that. Before we wrap up, Jessica, are there any important dates or anything that you can tell us as viewers follow along the progress of the James Beard Public Market?
Yeah, so we exist for our vendors and for the community, and we are really excited to announce in the next couple of weeks who those vendors will be. We have roughly 40 permanent vendors that are in the process of signing leases for the market. They range from a butcher to a fishmonger to a really incredible cider program, an anchor restaurant, patisseries, bakeries, cheese, vegan cheese, an egg vendor, pantry vendor who's going to do incredible Pacific Northwest bulk bins. So we have just like this incredible lineup. We can mushrooms and nuts. I mean, you can go on and on.
Yeah.
But we're really excited about the vendors because ultimately this is a place for you to shop, Elizabeth. It's for your colleagues to shop. We want this to be a place where locals embrace this, and this becomes your community shopping destination and a place where you can connect with others and connect with the people who make, grow, and produce our food. And we hope that tourists also enjoy it and they learn about everything that Oregon has to offer.
Awesome. And so that's in the coming weeks. Great.
That is correct.
Do we have an official opening date just yet, or is that still?
We just are wrapping up demolition right now. As you showed, I mean, the building is transforming before our eyes in real time. It is absolutely amazing. Our hope is to open fall of 2026, and that's where our construction timelines show us right now.
Things are moving right along.
Yes.
Jessica Elkin, again, thank you again, Executive Director of the James Beard Public Market. Thanks for joining us for this KOIN Conversation, and thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you for the next one.